if you want to sell something in the future, you're gonna have to, for sure, market it via digital way.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Build Up series. We are today with Giorgio Azmouz, which is a visual designer. Giorgio is a super expert on anything that has to do from photography, 3D renders, a lot of graphics. So, and Giorgio and I, we've worked together. So I thought he was an amazing guest for our community. So I'm going to let Giorgio introduce himself just to give a bit more of insight on what he does and who he is.
Thank you so much, Diana. I wanted to thank you for having me. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. This is great. This is a great idea. It's a great show. And well, yeah. Hi everybody. I'm Giorgio Azmouz. My real name is Jorge, but everybody calls me Giorgio. I don't know why, but I just accept it. I'm a visual designer. That actually means that if you can see it on a screen, I can figure it out how to do it, and I will do it. So from 3D rendering, which is what we're gonna be talking about today, I think. And from photography, graphic design, and illustration, everything, I can do it.
He's the man.
So yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy.
Amazing. Thank you, Giorgio. I'm super happy you accepted our invitation. And so, Giorgio, for those who don't know very well what three-dimensionality is, what are 3D renders?
Well, that's a great question. But to first summarize what's a 3D render, we first need to know what's a 3D model.
Okay.
Let's talk about binary. Information, it's ones and zeros, and sometimes it's an hexadecimal information, which is the combination of ones and zeros. That's kind of the more difficult of what I'm gonna be talking about. But to summarize, a 3D model is a combination of ones and zeros in a 3D space environment that can be manipulated in a way that the interface adapts those ones and zeros to a geometrical figure that can be then manipulated into different shapes. Then that 3D shape, it's let's say we take the 3D and render it so it becomes a 2D image for whatever we need. That's the process of 3D rendering in no real time. But if we do it in real time, we're talking about maybe video gaming or VR, and that's a different 3D rendering process. But it actually comes basically into the same. Just we have those two facets: the 2D image rendering and the real-time rendering. But the output, it's always the same. It's to have a visual representation of an object into a definite space. You can have photorealistic 3D rendering. You can have cartoonish. Everything you can think of it, you can do it on 3D rendering, and it's become very versatile too.
Amazing. And how did you discover this world, and why did you decide to work on it? Like, I discovered it through you, actually. Like, the first time Giorgio and I spoke about this, it was, I think, 2019.
Yes.
It was when you were in you came to Milan, yes. And with Global Fashion Travels, we even had like a one-on-one talk on this, and then we just like it all passed, and then a client of mine came and asked for it. I was like, yeah, sure, I can do it, but I couldn't, so it was you.
Yeah, it was really fun. I remember back in 2019, I was really I was in Milan with Global Fashion Travelers, and my cousin Tiffany Azmouz, which is one of the owners and production managers of all that project, introduced me to you, and I was really happy because I understood at that point that what I was doing and what I was studying at the point, I'm already graduated, but what I was doing at that point, it just clicked on me. It just I was really like on the I was trained to do movies and visual effects and 3D rendering, but I wasn't really understanding what was the purpose of my understanding of that world. And when I met you and I met what you did, I just clicked and I was like, oh, this could be really helpful for the environment, firstly, and for everybody, basically. That just you know but I have so much to tell you about it, but maybe further in the interview we can manage that. But yeah, I fell in love with 3D rendering and the 3D environment while back. I would say when I was a kid, I always loved Pixar movies and Star Wars. It's a big part of my infancy. So when I was young, I used to see those lightsabers just pop out of the hilt, and I was like, wow, how did they do that? And then I learned that visual effects, it's been like an evolution of things, and it's still evolutionizing every single day. We technology is just I would say it's a bubble, but it's never gonna pop. So 3D rendering and the 3D environment, it's just a little bit part of what visual effects is. And it's just when I went to the university and was like, oh, I want to study this, they just told me, oh, we're gonna focus on 3D rendering because that's the technology we have right now. But it's great. I fell in love like immediately.
What did you study?
I studied digital animation at the University of Veritas here in San Jose, Costa Rica. Oh, I'm in Costa Rica. That's something I didn't say.
Yeah, exactly. The lucky Giorgio is in Costa Rica, but he's moving to Madrid soon.
Yes.
Amazing. And well, as I said previously, at the beginning of the pandemic, we started working together on a project for a client of mine. So I wanted to know, how was it like working with garments, accessories, shoes? Because I remember that when I asked for your portfolio, you had a bit of everything, but you were not like specialized in garments, footwear, or accessories. And how was it? And how did you see that like going with the brand? How was interacting with the brand? How was the full process?
Well, to summarize it, it was great. It was definitely an experience that I would love to repeat just to get better on it. But at first, when the client sent us the portfolio of garments we were gonna work on, it was really challenging, because we have to retro-engineer every single piece of the collection just to translate it to the 3D environment. And that was really challenging because I had to start looking for courses on patterning and to really understand the fabrics, the weight of the product, the dimensions. It was really it was a challenge. Definitely was a challenge, but it was a fun challenge. I was really happy to be working on that.
In fact, you received the samples of the fabrics just to see like the texture and how shiny they were and the weight, how they were moving. Yes,
definitely. We worked with the ideal way of working it. Maybe I could say it was a little expensive, but it was the best because me as a 3D specialist, it's a plus to have the garment, to just touch it, to just feel it, to just kind of wear it, to see the dimension, how the shoulder goes.
Of course.
Yeah, So yeah, it was a really great experience. Maybe in the future, we could go one step further to simplify processes. I would say sending the garments, it's an ideal way of working it, but it's kind of expensive. So we have designed like a formulary in which all the specifications of the garment it's specified, and we have successfully worked on that. Not specifically on garments, but on other types of objects in the industry, in other industries.
Yeah,
So
but
yes.
and how do you do, like, okay, you have a formula but to fill up, but how do you do, for example, with the lighting? Like, how do you know that it reflects exactly the light as the real material?
We have a database of how the garments should be like interacting with the environment. So it's a lot. There's a lot of statistical data of how, let's say, velvet, it's gonna pop on a cloudy day. So there's a lot of information. There's a lot of website that sell this information. So we are able to diminish the
replicate
prices.
it. And but
Yes.
like, for example, this is not your area of expertise, but mine, yes. But like velvet, no, velvet is a finishing for the material, no, and it can be cotton or polyester or silk. And of course, the lighting of polyester or cotton or silk is different. Does that exist in the database or no? So it's only an approximate way of seeing it, but you will not know. I don't know how you speak in terms of luminosity. Maybe it's 1 to 10. I don't know. I have no clue. But does the program tells you, like, okay, this is the right lighting for this, or it's just velvet, period?
Well, we can use the velvet statistic information just as a starting point, and then if let's say it has 3 types of material, we can mix the 3 materials and have a result. It's good to say that when we talk about 3D rendering, we can talk about prototyping, which is like is the product that's gonna be the closer to the finished product. Or we can talk about taking the garment that already exists and translating it to a 3D model, which is kind of it's kind of the same process, but it's not gonna be, because one is where the garment doesn't exist yet, and one is when the garment already exists. So when the garment doesn't exist, we have to do more work, because we have to build it from the ground up. It's something that when we're working with the prototype, we do not expect the prototype to be like full
100% accurate. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
so we do a bunch of it. So the client has like a variety of options. So it's if the client's like, hold on, the polyester is not like kind of showing like in real life. So we do basically we're tweaking the knobs. So
yeah,
till the
so
client is happy with the result. Yes.
Okay, amazing. And according to your experience nowadays, which one would be the benefits of making 3D renders for a fashion brand?
For a fashion brand, well, we can we can look at like on maybe 2 different aspects. That you have the marketing side and you have the prototyping and manufacturing side. So going from the manufacturing side, which is basically what we have been talking about, it's gonna lower your cost of transport and material use, because you're gonna stop using wasted material. Maybe you bought like a smaller sample. You're gonna buy a smaller sample of fabrics if you're gonna be testing, than if you do not use a 3D system, because you're gonna have to cut a lot, you're gonna have to pattern a lot, and when you use 3D rendering and 3D prototyping, you're just not gonna be wasting that much material. And if let's say you have to send your prototype to a third, if you are using like a B2B segment where you just have to send your garment to another manufacturer just to get it done with some other accessory or everything, you do not gonna have to send it to another person. You just send it via digitally, and at first you're gonna have a first glance, better communication between other arguments. And then you have the marketing side. It's not a secret that every single day we see more 3D, and we see more 3D, and we do not pay attention to it because it's so good and it's so realistic that we just think it's real. And we can divide marketing into two, which is the centralized and the not centralized. On the centralized, we are talking about Web 2. I don't know if you are familiar with Web 2 and Web 3, which is like Web 2 is the internet we're using today. It's data centric, to mine data from the clients just to offer a better service. And then we have Web 3, which is the decentralized version, which is where cryptocurrencies stay. On the Web 2, you have Instagram, Facebook, every website that's basically today. And just an idea, you can take let's say an arm, use your phone camera and display accessories, 3D accessories via your camera to your wrist, so you can market collections that way, even when, let's say,
like virtual reality.
Yeah, the prototype is not ready, but you're already marketing it, and that's gonna drive you a lot of data of how the consumer is gonna drift to that garment in specific. And then you have cryptocurrencies, which is like decentralized version. You're not mining data. You are basically have you ever heard of the NFTs? It's like a big thing right now. People are selling 3D renderings, 2D images, and it just sells as art.
Yeah, like the Gucci sneakers.
Yes. Disney is getting into it, and that's a big part of it. Ethereum cryptocurrency is a big part of 3D right now, on the 3D, let's say, environment.
Okay, interesting. In fact, I didn't know cryptocurrencies were part of this.
Yes.
But sorry, my bad. And I even trade them. So very good. I've been very well informed. But we have actually been selling this kind of product, so 3D renders, to our clients in as a much more sustainable option, because as you're saying, there is basically no waste, and it's actually something that, because when, like, for those who know how a production process works, the first thing is that you need to make a prototype. If the prototype is not right, you need to make another one. If the prototype is not right, you need to make another until you get to the sample. And in all this, like for making a prototype, you use a raw material, whatever you have left over. So it's kind of okay, but still you waste a lot. And then for making the samples, you actually buy, let's say that the minimum quantity for brands that they don't have minimum quantities usually is like 1 meter. But if you're going to do one pair of shoe, then you have like basically the full meter there. And what if you don't sell it? So if you don't manage to sell it, then you used a full meter of material. A, you paid for it, and B, you're never going to use it. So it's going to end up being waste. So it's just much better to do a 3D render. You try to sell it, and then you see and you buy actually what you're going to sell in terms of materials. And then also, the thing is that, for example, for footwear, we have more or less 20 suppliers for one pair of shoe. So you need the shoe last, and then the shoe last needs to go to the pattern maker, and then he needs to make the pattern, and then he has to travel to the factory, so they cut it, and then he has to travel to a stitcher, so they stitch it, and they have to travel to, so it's like a lot of shipping back and forth. So a lot of CO2 emissions just like generated only for shipping, which is crazy if you think about it. And also on top of that, there's also people traveling, like me, I have to be in the factory once a week. If me or the designer, or maybe the two of us, so it's like two people coming from different parts just to get to the factory. Instead, a 3D render is just digital. You send it via email, you receive it, and we both see it. Even though you're in London and I'm in Milan, we both see it in contemporary, and we're seeing exactly the same thing,
Yes.
Plus, it's a cool digital asset.
it's very cool.
Yeah, like
Yes.
you can share it on your website, on your Instagram, on your like whatever. In
Yes.
fact, our YouTube channel is full of your 3D renders.
Yeah, I'm very proud of those actually. And
yeah,
the fun thing is that you're talking about the present, which is analyzing a market of the like a realistic market. But in the future, we're gonna be talking about a digital market also for wearables in the digital media. So if we're talking about the Facebook metaverse, that's gonna be a big thing for fashion industry, because people are gonna be on the metaverse and they're gonna be selling. They're gonna be using 3D garments on the metaverse. That's gonna be a big market in the future.
sorry, repeat that. I got super lost. I am zero technological. I try to be. I always feel like a grandpa, because I'm like, yeah, I want to be cool and I want to know everything about this. But then people start speaking, and I'm like,
yeah, that's
question marks all around.
It's fun. It's very fun to know that this thing exists, because I'm gonna talk about the metaverse, but maybe there are gonna be other digital environments where people are gonna be wearing these assets. But let's say let's make an example. Maybe you want some Gucci shoes, and you are in the 2015. That's 25 years from now, and you're gonna maybe they're gonna market like this way: buy it on real life, and you get an asset 3D also, because you want to wear it with your friends online, right? That's something that's gonna happen. I really believe that's gonna happen.
That's so crazy. So our bachelorette parties and baby showers that we've been doing during COVID, now we can be wearing cool stuff digitally. Yep.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm not a person that's like I'm gonna save my ideas because I'm gonna sell it. I feel like when we're talking about sustainability, we have to let the pattern of the idea just fly right away. So when people ask me, what are your ideas? I have a bunch of ideas and I will love to talk about them all, but I feel like we don't have much time. But if I would say one, it would be that, if you want to sell something in the future, you're going to have to for sure market it via digital way. Saying, you want to try these shoes for the next season, try it out. Use virtual reality, use augmented reality, try it on, pay me for that, I don't know, do not pay me, market it, etc., etc. It's gonna be big, and that's gonna be great for the environment. It's gonna be great for manufacturers. It's gonna be great for every single person that's working on the fashion
times
industry.
up as well.
Yes.
But now, like while you were talking, I was imagining myself, all the Zoom meetings I've had in pajamas. Oh. I could still keep my pajamas and just put a coat on. I mean, it's like, oh, you're wearing such a nice coat. I'm actually wearing my pajamas, but thank you. Plus a digital code.
Yes.
Code.
Yes.
Amazing.
Well, that will be really cool. That will be really,
I really
cool.
Need one.
Amazing. You just put some like transmitters here, and it just puts your clothes right on.
Great, amazing. I just did a shower and now I'm like, hey, dressed up as a gala party. Amazing. That's amazing. And Giorgio, so we said that from the client you need to receive the materials and the shapes and the patterns. So as much specific as you can, if it exists already, or if it doesn't, well, of course, always as much as specific as it's possible. But what does the client receive, like aside from a 3D render? Like, what is exactly what you give them?
Okay, so we have evolutionized the product since we work on with you, Diana. Today the client would receive a link with a web page. So we can revise the prototype. It's like a real-time revision of the prototype. So it will be a link to a website, and the final delivery. We can talk about the necessities of the client. If the client needs a 3D asset or just needs a 3D rendering, it's very general. But let's say if we put a case, the case of the client you and I worked on, he needed the 3D objects to be put on a virtual reality 360 kind of
space, exactly.
space.
Yeah, exactly,
So,
because Giorgio's products were not like just a product; they were on a 3D render space.
yes,
It was really
that
cool.
was
Sorry.
that was really cool from a marketing perspective. That was really futuristic. I would say I was really impressed when the product came to me. It was like, oh, this is what I was talking about. So yeah, the client would receive a let's talk about what the client can receive. The client can receive the 3D objects with the dot
with
OBJ,
the turntable.
With the turntable. The turntable would be an MP4 or a set of image sequence. It could be a 3D put on stage, let's say product displacement for already just to send to the IT guys, for the programming guys of the website. It could be anything. It's very versatile. Again, we're not like on the studio. We're not like technicians. We like to figure out what are the necessities of the client. Let's say if a client comes to me or to us, because I have a team, this is something that sometimes because of time management I cannot do alone. But we like to figure out what are the client necessities, and so we can figure out how we can help the client better. Because if the client comes, oh, I need 3D render of these shoes, okay, perfect, we can do that. But what's the objective of those 3D shoes? Yeah. Are you gonna displacement on the 3D environment? Are you gonna use it for 3D virtual reality gaming? You just wanna print it on real life on plastic, or whatever the client is thinking. We need to take the product and analyze what are his needs and design a product that fits his needs. Again, 3D environment, the visual let's say the visual industry, it's very flexible to the client's needs, and that's one of the things that makes it so important today.
Amazing. And can you please tell us a bit more about how the creative process works for you, and which programs do you use to make these 3D renders?
Yes. Well, the process, it's we like to call it a pipeline, which is you have an input and then you have an output. That's basic algorithm. Sorry. Mm-hmm. We start by having a meeting with the client to set goals and the needs of the client. Then if let's just talk about maybe shoes. We're tasked to work on a pair of shoes. We need to figure out what are the materials, what is the wear, what is the usage of this, who's gonna wear it, maybe. So we can figure out how it's gonna decay over time, if that's the case. And figuring out dimensions, sketching, and setting up a plan, basically to enter into production. That's the pre-production part. Then we enter into production. We start working on the asset, the 3D asset, and this is where it gets fun, because when you have the 3D asset ready, which is after maybe 2 or 3 revisions with the client, with this email link, with this web page link. When the client is ready to put a check on the shoe, let's say, it now goes through the texturing part, which is the most important part, because
so first you do the modeling, which is black and white.
It's
not black and white. I actually remember that you sent me a few screenshots, and it looks like a sponge to me. Well, to me, it looks like a sponge.
It looks like you can eat it, basically. It's really
it's like Bob Sponge's best friend.
Yes, it's something that it's like a non-defined material. That's how we define it. it's an undefined material, which is it can be represented in any color. We just use gray because you see better the volumes, the shadows and the occlusions with gray. So we just send it in gray because it's just gonna show better. But you can put it in any color if you want. um, and then we have the texturing, which is it's kind of the most difficult part, because this is the part when the all the things that you did wrong on the shoe, they're gonna show up. So we have to be really careful about what we're gonna be doing. And we use different I'm gonna talk about the softwares later. It's a bunch. It's a bunch of softwares and computer power. So the texturing is just gonna show with the lighting. It's gonna show with this, let's say, the bumping of the texture, how the again the lighting is gonna interact with the object. And when we have that, we send it again to the client, and the client checks it out or just gives us feedback. We apply that feedback, we repeat again till the shoe is till the client is happy with the result. Then we, as specify on the meeting, we send the deliverables with the result.
Okay.
To talk about software, we have software for the meetings, the pre-production, to contemplate everything we're going to be doing. Formularies, talking about PDF, digital signatures, everything. Then we're having, for the production, we can sometimes I've worked with some 3D generalists too. They choose their software. If they can deliver what we're asking, and we can
and it's
talk the same language, it's possible. You have paid licenses and you have free license. You can deliver the same product with any of those. We choose to use licensing because it's kind of better to, if we encounter any error on the software, we can deliver better solutions in better timing, because we're talking about deadlines. So when a partner just comes and tell me, oh, I use Blender, I'm okay, but how are you gonna encounter these errors that we have encountered before, and how are you gonna solve them, and how many times? So Blender is a great, if anybody that is watching us wants to go into 3D, I would suggest going to Blender, which is a free software. Yes, it's a Blender, Blender. It's free, and you can do anything on that. You can do garments.
And this is not advertisement. They're not paying us for doing this.
They're not paying it.
But if we get a lot of views, we could charge for that.
For the sake of the environment, we live in a very special time today, because you have the internet and you can learn everything. You don't need to pay anything and anybody to learn something today. That's awesome.
That's crazy. Yeah.
You can use Maya, which is the Autodesk software that we choose to use. But Maya is kind of like the final touch where we can deliver rendering. But
for the textures,
basically, yes. For the final, turntables and everything like that, we use Maya.
Okay.
Yes, but there's a bunch of other softwares like Substance Painter for texturing. We use a sub program, which is Arnold rendering tool, which is one of the biggest rendering softwares in the industry. It's crazy. So yeah, that would be.
Am I mistaken, or there was one that was called Linux or something like that?
Well, no, Linux is Linux is a operating system that it's kind of used. It's like a competition of.
Bravo, Diana, bravo.
But,
again, the grandma came in here with all the question marks.
That's a great question, because cinema studios, they tend to use Linux because it's more tweakable. You can have more security on it. to your standards. So maybe if we're talking about Disney, I'm pretty sure they use their own software, their own operating system based on Linux, and everything. So yeah, that's another subject.
Whatever. Yeah, let's leave that up to here because it's enough. But before we finish, would you like to tell us about a cool project you've worked on or that you're currently working on? Just to know, to gossip a bit about your portfolio.
Thank you. Well, currently, I'm developing myself into data-driven marketing. So I'm basically learning Python and all these packages because I feel like the studio could benefit a lot for data analysis, and we can deliver clients better information from their needs. My projects right now, like tangible projects, I'm working on my YouTube channel. Right now, it's kind of a mess. I'm not pursuing becoming a travel blogger, but I'm pursuing becoming an editor for travel bloggers. So right now, I'm submitting portfolios with a lot of YouTube accounts that are in video. So video is it's my stronger hold. I'm a business driven entrepreneur, so 3D rendering is part of that. But video it's like my stronghold.
I still use your video from Global Fashion Travel. As whenever I can put it, I'm like, here.
Well, now that I'm gonna be in Madrid, we're gonna be in the same hours. So I'm gonna be really happy to travel to Milan. If you wanna travel to Madrid, and we can
you can be my paparazzi in one of the trade shows or something like that.
Yes. So I'm actually very photo driven. So my Instagram account, it's an account driven for travel photography. So I've been, I started that project in 2018 and I traveled to Beijing. I was 3 weeks there. So I took like 6,000 pictures and I have like 100 on Instagram. And then Milan came out and other travels here in Costa Rica, etc. It's a bunch. So my Instagram account, again, I'm transitioning into not pursuing to be a personality of the internet, more like entrepreneur that do business with the personalities. So
amazing. Yes. Amazing. And an advice ultimately for those who wants to start using this digital asset, so the 3D render, which advice would you give them, and how can these people reach out to you or look at your projects?
Yes, an advice I would give a person that's starting to think on working on a 3D environment, do it. That's it.
Just do it, Nike.
Just do it. I cannot come here and tell you I'm an expert. I know everything. As I said before, we live in a world where you have all the information you need on the palm of your hand. So basically, it comes to which questions I'm gonna ask the internet, and that's where I can figure out and help everybody. So if you are looking for a person that to ask, I'm there. You can contact me on my Instagram account. I'm pretty sure Diana's gonna put it.
Yeah. I am going to write it down. But if you want to, you can say it.
Yes,
and we're going to magically edit the video, so when you say it, it appears.
Okay. So put it here. It's Giorgio Azmouz.
We're not video editors, Giorgio. You're making it difficult. Most likely you're saying put it here and it's going to appear here. I'm definitely not like this.
No worries at all. You can check it out. You can ask me any questions. Again, you can call me anytime. You can be a stranger that's watching this. Call me via Instagram. And I will answer all your questions. Or if I cannot answer your question, I will point you out where you can get the information for sure.
Amazing, yes. Giorgio. Thank you very much. This was really insightful. I've been actually looking super forward to do another project with this. I might have a new client interested, by the way.
Great.
So hopefully we're going to be doing some heels with, some really fancy heels in 3D.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
no, plus,
And best of all, we're gonna be saving the environment big time.
Yeah, and not through Linux.
Not through an operating system.
Not through an operating system. Amazing. No, really. Thank you very much, Giorgio, for joining us, and thank you everyone who joined the conversation. Of course, if you liked it, please let us know. If you have any questions, leave them in our comments, and we will transmit them to Giorgio so he can reply himself. And
tag me on the comments so I can, maybe if they put something on the comments, I can type it in.
Yeah, that's also possible. Of course.
Yes.
I was going to say it.
Oh, sorry.
You read my mind. Amazing. And remember to subscribe to the channel so you get more insights on Build Up series, which is actually made to make our community grow and give them more insightful information regarding the fashion and footwear industry. So thank you very much, and thank you again, Giorgio. It was a real pleasure.
For having me. Real pleasure too.
Bye.